when my wife was up in Tennessee, I managed to, she was sitting in her car one day and we were talking on the phone. And I said, honey, you're in your car, right? She goes, yeah. I said, look in the rear of your mirror. She adjusted the mirror and saw me sitting in the back seat, but I wasn't there. I was here in Panama City. She goes, how the hell do you do that?
My name is Gabe Mathews. I'm a certified paranormal investigator, professional paranormal tour guide, and an ardent paranormal researcher and educator in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm the founder of True Searchers Paranormal Investigators, as well as Greenville Ghost Tours. This interview is presented as a pilot episode for consideration for a podcast series. Please let me know in the comments what you think of it and if I should start my own podcast series. Without further ado, let's get into our paranormal conversation. What evidence will the True Searchers find this time?
Where Grimm came from, childhood nickname Crypt, actually came from Tales from the Crypt. There was 2 episodes that he did.
Oh my gosh, I love Tales from the Crypt.
He goes, hello boys and ghouls, this is Crypt Keeper. This is Crypt Keeper with a K as in crypt. 2 episodes I've only ever dug up with crypt on, so I'm like, I like that. So Y is crypt, but then there was an I in there, so I just put an I instead, a Y instead. It's GKR. What Y stands for is international, because I've traveled internationally growing up in a military family, and plus I was a former government contractor.
So you've done some. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I've done some government contracting. I was a mercenary civilian contractor, not official military. Paranormal, of course, everybody gets that one. Trackers, because I was a tracker. I grew up around backwoods of Montana. I was always tracking animals, tracking deer, and one day I was tracking a deer and I had my first Sasquatch encounter, and I'm sitting there tracking this deer and I kept hearing this. I'm like, what the hell? So I get to this ridge and I look down and I see the deer that I had shot, and I see this. Well, I'm thinking it's a person grabbing the deer. I'm like, hey, I bellow and he turns around and he's covered nothing but fur. I'm like, what do? You'd fear that anybody would run. No, me being a country boy, I said, you ain't taking my damn deer. I swung my gun across my back and I took pursuit, and the damn thing threw the deer up on his shoulder and took off running. I'm like, and he disappeared down a ridge. If you've ever been in the woods, you know ridges are like our knuckles. He disappears down in a ridge, and I'm like, where'd he go? I'm like, what the hell? And so I went back, took pictures of the footprint with a Polaroid camera I had, shook the film, looked at it, and took it to a buddy of mine that had been him and his dad that had lived in the woods their entire life. And he says, you found a Sasquatch. So we went back up there the next weekend, and he goes, where it disappeared down to is a set of underground caves. I'm like, let's go. So we went down in there, and we only went probably about 2 miles in, because them caves ran for hundreds of miles underground. So there was no telling where he could have went. So we came back out, and I kept that photo. And what's ironic is when I left home when I was 15, my mom got rid of all my stuff, all my paperwork, all my data that I collected up there, and photo was never seen again. So it was that right there. I grew up in the paranormal. I was raised in the paranormal from the time I was 7 up until I left home. I'm a 8th generation paranormal investigator.
8th generation? That's incredible.
It goes all the way back to my family when they were witches and Salem witch trials.
And what? Yeah, so you were able to trace back all that lineage.
Yeah, I was able to.
So you have witches in your family. Okay. Do you consider yourself a witch? So I don't know what I'm looking. Okay, so is that a mark of a witch emblem?
It's a pinnacle. I consider myself a witch. So does my wife. We're both I'm Christian Wiccan. So is my wife, but this is where I differ. I'm Christian Wiccan Odinist. I practice voodoo, and I'm also a retired Catholic priest. I'm a 6th-generation priest.
Wow.
Retired priest. So
do these fit together? They seem kind of, the antithesis, or maybe not. I don't know.
I make them fit together.
Okay,
I put them
yeah.
all together.
Nice. Yeah, I am working on my advanced Wicca degree from the Center of Excellence. So my knowledge of Wicca comes from that course. But I have not completed it. And so I'm interested in Wiccans and Wicca, and witches and witchcraft in general, but I don't know a ton. Just what I learned in my course.
My wife and I, we have an altar within our home.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Can you describe some of these things that we're seeing on here?
This is a haunted badge that I removed from that somebody gave me, that once they got it out of their midst, they quit having hauntings in their home.
You quit having hauntings. Okay, so this was a private investigation, and that's maybe a spirit vessel, perhaps, was.
Yeah, I removed that. This too.
So former spirit vessels that you removed the, what was inside the entity or what have you.
Yeah, as soon as I removed it, things were fine in their home. Some of these are just collectors that we've collected, but this one is one that was a cursed object that was removed from a home. What it is it was a cobra on a little platform, as you can see.
A cobra on a platform.
Like those stone cobras you can buy that you get on, that are like the stone ones you can buy?
I don't.
I can't really describe it that well.
Okay.
What happened was is actually a cursed object that is contained in holy water and has salt inside of it.
Okay. And I'm looking at a former animal.
Yeah, no, it's not a former animal. It was just a stone that was used for dark purposes.
Okay.
This one right here, was used to channel dark purposes and harm this. This guy was a dark witch. He was using this to harm his wife. Her mother had bought it for her, and he decided to use that to harm her.
So that was a cursed object?
No, this was just a haunted object.
Haunted object, okay. He
was using for a vessel for his magic.
A spirit vessel. So that also used to be a spirit vessel.
Yes, now it's harmless.
Okay.
Now it's just a part of our collection.
Yeah. So many haunted objects, former haunted objects, and now they're part of the altar.
Some of these are just objects that we've collected. The stones we have right here, there's too many to name of them. They're of course, one of mine and my wife's favorite movie, the Titanic, Star Wars. One object that catches a lot of people's curiosity. A box at one time that was used in the practice of voodoo was not used by me. It was given to me by a neighbor. He didn't know much about it, but I've started doing some digging into it and found out that it was used in many voodoo rituals down in New Orleans.
Nice.
Oh, that just happened.
Yeah, I know there's a whole mess of voodoo down in New Orleans. I've been there a couple times. I was hoping to get linked up with a voodoo priest just to chat and learn some stuff, because I haven't done a whole lot with voodoo myself.
Okay, I lost it for a minute.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah, I had a couple. I had a poppet at one time. I believe that's the pronunciation for voodoo, right? You like the doll, the poppet.
How do you spell that? P-O-P?
P-O-P-P-E-T, I believe.
P-O-P.
P-O-P-P-E-T. Let me check.
Poppet, yes.
Yeah.
In folklore and witchcraft, poppet known as a poppet, muppet, or good lord. A doll made to represent a person for casting spells on a person to aid through magic. They are occasionally found lodged in chimneys. These dolls can be fashioned from materials or carved.
Yeah. So at one point I had a poppet, that was used for voodoo, like a voodoo doll kind of, and for witchcraft kind of deal. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can dig that up.
They have different styles of puppets I've seen throughout the years. Now, I wasn't familiar with them being under that name. I was just voodoo doll.
Yeah, voodoo doll, right.
But
I don't know the origin of the term poppet, but that's what I remember calling it. Yeah, and then you do the effigy, or the effigy is the doll, right? Or
yes, it is effigy. Word puppet is older. Spelling of puppet, Middle English. Poppet meaning small child or doll. In British English, it continues. Poppet is generally a British term of endearment or a referring to a child or young girl, much like these words dear or sweet.
yeah, so they're like one and the same. The poppet, the effigy. What's it? You kind of you do the spell or whatever to make it have the person or the presence, so you can put needles in it or whatever, and it would have an effect on the other person, which is some form of witchcraft or voodoo magic. From my understanding, again, I'm not an expert at any of this.
I don't claim to be an expert at nothing. What I've learned throughout the years, there's no such thing as to quote an old friend of mine that is an actual hunter, paranormal hunter. I mean, Bobby J. Gallo, he said there's no such thing as experts in the paranormal field. There are those of us that have gathered thousands upon thousands of hours of video. We have gathered hundreds of plus pictures. Let's say you've got George and Fred. Fred is a spirit medium, and George is a demonologist. And then Bobby went as far as to say, hey, let's bring Lauren over here. Let's say Lauren is a sensitive, an empath. He goes, you can learn something from each one of them. You combine them together, you have one hell of a team.
Yeah.
Because therefore, they're not experts. They know a little bit more than each other. You bring them together, and they can build a hell of a team. See, as you read my background, I've got a lot of gifts behind me. My wife, I'll let her describe okay. My wife is would you say sensitive? She is a sensitive.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I am not. So it's always nice to have someone on the team or go investigate with someone who is sensitive, so that, like you said, having one piece of each of the puzzle on a paranormal investigation team is ideal.
We don't have equipment. We don't have nothing like that. One of my team members openly jokes I am the equipment, because I'm quicker to pick up on things than most people, because I can see them and hear them. I can't walk into a graveyard without hearing at least hundreds of them at a time. I cannot walk down the street without hearing hundreds of spirits at a time. I have a hard time being in public with people because I'm an empath, but on steroids. I'm much more sensitive than most people are around me, and that's why I wear a lot of the stuff. What I wear, labradorite with dragon's blood, protects against psychic attacks, and protects against negativity and dark energy. My jasper protects against negative energy and cleanses and protects. And then, of course, my pinnacle, it's got a lot of stones on it that a friend of mine that runs a store down the road from us called Folklore put a bunch of stones on there. Each one of them protects against psychic attacks. One protects against negative energy. One attack protects against spiritual attacks. So each one of the stones on my necklace does something. She pretty much supercharged it.
Nice. Yeah. I definitely try to wear, some crystals, like some black tourmaline, stuff like that, and doing sages and stuff. But yeah, I do bring paranormal equipment almost all investigations. So I would say I use all the devices, because that's what I do. So you kind of have the medium ESP abilities, and then for me, I just kind of take a more scientific approach, and kind of use tools the best that I can, and obviously cameras and audio recorders.
I noticed some people use cameras and audio recorders. They do it that way. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I've learned throughout the years. I've used equipment throughout the years, and there's been sometimes equipment has been faulty, or as they say, my gift has been faulty, where I've picked up on something, but yet I was picking on something that was going on with somebody, not that was happening in the graveyard we were in. The other night, my wife and I have a woman that we follow online called, her name is Tammy Earl. She's a paranormal investigator in Missouri.
Okay. Yeah, let me write that down. I always like to follow people in the field and, show support, which, speaking of, this might be a good time to anyone listening to definitely give me a follow. Paranormal TSPI on YouTube is my YouTube channel. And then, I have a Facebook and we have all the social medias, but YouTube is kind of the one I primarily use, and some Facebook every now and again, Twitter, Instagram is the Ghost Tour. So I have them all there, but you can check out me on there. So just promoting my stuff, and of course, if you're in Greenville, come check out Greenville Ghost Tours. And then, yes, I'm the founder of True Searchers, Paranormal Investigators, our paranormal investigation team, which you can find our investigations on my YouTube channel, Paranormal TSPI. Sorry for the plug, but if someone's watching, I definitely want them to check out my channel. But anyways, her name's Tammy. What's her last name?
E-R-L.
Earl. All right. Yeah, I'll check her out.
I managed. She's was up in the graveyard, and I managed to channel spirits for her. By the way, that's 604 miles from us that I managed to channel.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you manage her channel?
No, I managed to channel for her spirits for her while I was in my home here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's a good little distance for me to push my gift. So
no doubt.
So I decided to push it further the other day. After I go, let's see how far I can push it. So I managed to push it, and while she wasn't there, I managed to project myself astrally to the graveyard that she was at after she'd been long gone from there, of course, and walked through the graveyard and picked up on some stuff for her that I'm going to be telling her tonight about. I don't know how I do it. When my wife was up in Tennessee, she was sitting in her car one day and we were talking on the phone, and I said, honey, you're in your car, right? And she goes, yeah. I said, look in the rear of your mirror. She adjusted the mirror and saw me sitting in the back seat, but I wasn't there. I was here in Panama City. She goes,
wow.
How the hell do you do that? And I managed to mess with her car too.
Dang.
Not with electronics. I managed to mess with it. I locked her in the car for a brief minute.
Yeah. Well, maybe, yeah. Don't mess with me though, man. I don't know if I want that. It'd drive me that'd be crazy. But that's a cool ability that you have there. I don't know if there's a way to teach. Can you learn that? Can I learn to do this, or is this just
It's each of my gifts that I have. My first gift that I was ever born with was the spirit medium ability, and each of my gifts, it's kind of weird. There was family members that had died within it. There was 6 or 7 family members that died within a 2-month period, and I went to go see them. And this was years ago, and each one of them, as they passed, so their gift wouldn't die with them, they said, I wield my gift to you. And each one of them wielded their gift to me, and I have their gifts, and they said they willed their gift and their power to me. And from that point on, I was like, okay, whatever. Granted, I was a practicing witch then, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I was a skeptic, but I was a witch at the same time. When I started experiencing their gifts, like the gift of premonition that my great aunt had, I was sitting there in my house one day in California, and suddenly I was rocked out of a dead sleep. I'm like, what the hell? And I saw something that was going to happen before it happened. And I got up the next morning with Starbucks like I normally did, get my coffee, came out, and what I had saw in a dream was a car had hit another car that caused the car in front of it to hit a homeless man. And right when I'm coming out of Starbucks, I saw it in that exact order. I'm like, nah. So from that point on, I started digging further into the gift of premonition.
So he did get hit by a car.
He did. But but not in the manner I saw it. And what I saw him in was the car ran over the top of him, but it did hit him. It broke his leg. But yet it was interesting because when the car hit this man, the car that hit the first car got out and was a doctor. And ironically enough, he'd been looking for his brother for 10 years. His brother had been homeless on the street for 10 years. And that was his brother right there. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, no, 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 no. This was just random. No, this is just
Yeah.
random occurrence. So I started digging further into the gift of premonition and started learning more about it and honing my gift. Then I got into automatic writing, got into remote viewing, and took it from there and just pushed myself further.
So for those at home, watching this, if you have a gift or like me, if you don't have the gift, is there something that we can do or a way to start or how to hone it better? Or
With
what do you?
remote viewing, find the target. As I went to a remote viewing class years ago and remote viewing seminar. Find a target, pick a target like a person or a park or something you've seen on or something you've heard somebody talk about, and or pick a family member, for instance, you haven't talked to in a while, or pick a friend that's sitting in a house somewhere and you've only been to their house like once or twice. Of course, you're going to memorize what's in their house, but sit there and focus on them and let your mind just find some relaxing music or something and block the world out and focus on them and see if you can see what they're doing or what's around them, objects around them,
Yeah.
and
Um,
build a further.
I like this. This sounds fun. This sounds like something I can maybe do on my own and maybe even, yeah, try to, see my progress. Maybe start this could be a video idea. Maybe I can um, start focused on someone and then over time, maybe it gets stronger and stronger that I could, be able to channel them.
For a long time, I've wanted to try to do a class. I had someone a while back tell me, hey, look, you've got your gifts, and there's others of us out there that have gifts. You should do a class on Facebook. And I'm like, this is just before I created. I've been in paranormal for 35 years, and I was never saw myself much of a teacher or a leader. And about almost about 5 or 6 years ago, somebody told me, hey, look, you've got these gifts. You should teach people how to use them. I'm like, I'm not a teacher. Hell no. I'm not a leader. But now I look back on that and I'm like, I'm lead investigator of a team. My wife and I run the team together. We run our podcast together. And it's like, wow, I never thought of myself much of a teacher. Somebody the other day brought it up to say, you're a remote viewer. I'm like, yeah, they should. So you should teach remote viewing classes. I'm like, uh, okay. I never really thought much of it until you and I started talking again. And then you started asking questions about it. And it was 2 days ago that when my wife was taking a nap, I sat here and said, okay, I said, okay, gods or goddesses, give me a sign that I'm meant to push this forward, to push teaching people how to hone their gifts better. Give me a sign, push it forward. I have waited the last 2 days, and it's funny, just before the podcast came on, I said to Simon Press, okay, gods and goddesses, if you want me to teach, give me a sign.
I think that'd be cool, to do a class on medium abilities, psychic abilities, I guess, astral projection, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting to be able to teach people how to hone their gifts, to help them further their gifts, to become stronger in their gifts.
Yeah. So do you subscribe to some people have the gift and some people don't kind of thing? Or can it be a learned thing or a little bit of both? Some people probably don't know that they have a gift. Kind of all the above is my thoughts. But so some people have the gift, some people don't. Is that your opinion as well?
Some people, I agree, but I also disagree with what you're saying. Some people can be born with the gift. Some people have the gift, but yet there are some people that have the gift of it, but some have the gift so heavily that they literally conceal themselves from the public. I have a woman I know. She, ironically enough, she's a bounty hunter down here, and she can go out in public, but unless she can't go out in public unless she's got her man with her, because her empathic ability is so strong that she feels everybody around her.
Yeah.
So she has to keep herself confined to a house.
So other people who have this ability, they can sense it from other people, like if they have the ability.
Yeah, because I've been to Paracons where I've walked into a room and out of 300 people that were in there, there was 200 or there was 150, 354 psychics in that room. Then I walked in and I could hear them. And apparently, looks like somebody else was trying to come into the meeting. Hang on here. Let me find out. Let me see if I can do something real quick here.
Okay.
Out of 153 people, I could hear all of them talking in their head, and I verbally out loud said, "Shut up!"
Yeah.
And everybody in that room went dead quiet, and their
So
mind went quiet. I was like, "What the hell?" Come to find out, I was the strongest psychic in the room.
right. So it's kind of like the movie Bones and All, but instead of cannibals, it's psychics.
Yeah, I'm downloading Messenger real quick on my laptop so I can share the link that you just sent me to someone because they want to chime in on the meeting too. Because
Okay.
when I had it on my, if that's okay with you,
Yeah, who's this? Someone you know that
yeah, let me check real quick. It happens to be Sammy Earl. Matter of fact, that's funny
okay. Yeah, bro, have him come on in.
because I don't want to interrupt the meeting on the phone here.
Yeah.
It's just taking it here. I'm going to try something.
Okay.
I'm going to go over to my messenger real quick. I just had to shorten the window. I just sent her a copy of it.
Okay.
So hopefully she should be chiming in.
All right. Well, we can just keep talking until then and then we'll go from there. But earlier you had talked about not using tools and stuff. I do like to ask people what they think about phone apps. I actually just the other day saw that there's a new app that was getting lots of downloads, and so I downloaded this. It's like $4, but it's called Spirit Talker. I haven't played around with it, but I was excited about it and I got it, and it seems kind of like almost all the other apps. And I don't know if it's necessarily good, but they also seem to be advertising for other apps within the app. And I don't know how useful it is, but what's your thoughts on apps on the phone?
The phone that I use. Here, I'll get into my main window here. I use ghost hunting tools, which I've been using for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I use Ghost Tube SLS. I use Ghost Vortex, and I use Lavix Ghost. They're like
Okay.
Ghost Ball. They're actually pretty good. It's not that I don't like using apps. There are times that I very rarely ever have to use these, but when I'm in an area that I'm honing on something, I will pull out my ghost simulator, and what it does, it'll sit there and say certain words, and like think Ghostbusters, the AKP meter.
The PKE, yeah.
Yeah, it shows the levels going up on it.
Right.
That's what ghost hunting tools is. Simulator is. It's actually really good.
Now, does it actually try to measure psychokinetic energy?
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting because there are certain areas I've went in. It'll go up it'll go up, the levels go up a little bit. The other day, we live down the street from where there used to be a house, and I was walking past there, coming back from the store, and I turned on my app. Well, just before I walked past the area, I walked into it, and I kept seeing somebody poking out from behind the bushes. Granted, yeah, there's areas that homeless people can hang out, but this was too translucent to be a person. I'm like, is there anybody here that wants to talk right now? Anybody that wants to come out and say hi? And so I decided to turn on my app, and all of it red, all the levels went red straight across. I'm like, that's never happened before with this app.
Nice. Yeah, I have to check out that app. I don't know if don't have that one. And I'd also be curious how they define psychokinetic energy. Because I wasn't sure that there was an app that could measure that. Usually like kind of EMF, electromagnetic field, but it's possible that they, coined it that and used maybe some different measurements, and maybe they define it as such. But yeah, I'd be interested in checking out that app, as I usually do, check out all the apps. And again, I just downloaded the Spirit Talker, $4. It seems to be, it was in the Google Play Store. It was like high up on the downloaded, so I was surprised to see that, a paranormal app that seemed the masses were downloading. So that seemed like a good app to at least check out. But it kind of has a lot of the normal stuff. It says some type of EMF thing. It does, I think it says words, like an obulus would or whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It does, I can tell it's using the gyroscope of the phone, the accelerometer, the magnetometer. I don't know if my phone must have some type of measurement of magnet, or maybe it uses GPS. It might do that. Who knows? It could be spyware and they're spying on me and gathering all my data and selling it to China or some foreign government or some secret society perhaps. But how do we know? But who's it made by? It says Haunted Finders SG. I wonder who makes this app. Spotted Ghosts. England. This is apps from England, so maybe it's it's actually made by I don't know. It has two guys on this app. I don't know, the Haunted Finders. I don't know if anyone knows the Haunted Finders. Maybe I'll have to look them up. It looks like they're from England, UK. So hey, I like to check other things, but that was something I looked at this week.
Yeah, they're from England. I'm looking at their page right here.
Nice. Again, I don't normally partake in alcohol consumption due to its propensity to cause behavioral changes in addition to lessen mental awareness, all while lowering your body's natural protection from evil spirits. But it's a fun time and again to relax and lower your inhibition, if you're on a podcast or whatnot. So,
usually when I'm in the field, one of my first rule that I put out there to my team is you do not show up drunk or high. You do not show up inhibited, because you can put us at risk. You can put people at risk on the team. I've had to let 2 members go that decided they wanted to use meth on an investigation.
Oh, no.
And I took them into a building I knew was haunted. And one of them has the gift to see. One of them has the gift to hear spirits. And one of them got really badly hurt on the investigation. And I said, you guys are done, because I kicked them off the team. They decided I had Zoom up and running before I had a Twitter account. I had other accounts up and running that when I would stream from Facebook, could stream it to like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Hell, I even had a MySpace thing that I had streamed it to, and it would go live to YouTube so everybody could watch me. And they decided to go out on their own and tell people that I had sent them out in the name of my team, which at the time it was Grimm's Kryptic X Investigations. And they wanted to charge people $400 for an investigation in their home. And that leaked out, and I had to shut all that down. So now I'm having to build a lot of this back up.
Oh, so you used to be GKEI, and then you changed it to G.K.R.Y.P.T.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is new. When did G.K.R.Y.P.T. start?
G.K.R.Y.P.T. started, how long ago, my dear? About 1.5 years ago.
Okay. And you've been investigating paranormal for how long? I probably read this. I've
been investigating paranormal since I was 7.
7, yeah. Okay. But how long was... So when did you first form your first paranormal investigation team? Was it GKEI?
The first team I formed was under MIGSAT, which was MIGSAT, MIGSAT, which was me, which was a woman named Maria, her husband Isaiah, me, of course, Grimm, Suzanne Grum, she's out of Jacksonville. She doesn't do much investigating anymore. She retired from it. Ashley Abbott, she's part of my team out of Cornish, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
She's still active in it. She used to be part of another team, but she's trying to pull away from it. Then when I had found out that Maria was was comfortable with her husband messing around with 15-year-old girls and getting them pregnant, that leaked out on Facebook. In my tech, I found out that he was a meth addict, so all that leaked out. I'm like, oh no. So I shut MIGSAT completely down. I disbanded it and started doing stuff on my own.
Yeah,
just on the awful. Grill. And then my cousin came into play, Garrett. He came to play. He's a sensitive. And then started out just him and I. And then, of course, my wife, when she was up in Tennessee, I brought her into it that way. Then we have another friend of ours his name is Tyler. His field name is Tyler Van Durden. Where we came up with the name Tyler Durden was Fight Club because his first name
Fight
is
Club. Yeah, Tyler Durden. That's clever. Yeah.
My wife's name is Lori, but she goes by Silver Shadowlight Grimness because everything she wears is pretty much, she wears silver. She'd had the nickname Silver for years. And then Garrett, we don't put his name out. He's on Facebook, but his field name when we're on investigations is Garrett Wildman Hunter because he's from here. He grew up in these backwoods of Panama City. So he knows the area. So we were calling him Garrett Hunt. I was calling him Garrett Hunter one time. And and we were on an investigation. And it was funny. I was sitting there, said, is there anybody here that wants to talk at all? Anybody that wants to say anything at all? And it came through my recorder on my phone. Say hi to Wildman. I'm like looking around, and my cousin Garrett happened to be standing right next to me. Last thing I knew is he was across the field doing his own little thing. And I said, Wildman?
Yeah.
Next to you. It goes next to you. I'm like, that's how his name was born.
That's awesome.
Wildman Hunter.
Yeah, that's a really cool like origin name for your, I guess nickname. That's cool.
I go by Joseph Grimm, or I go by GrimmsKnight in the field.
GrimmsKnight in the field. And how'd you get that name?
Knight, because when I was active with the agency, I was active with my field name was GrimmsKnight. Because Grimm of my name and Knight, because when I was a damn good chess player and I was using my knights on the board. And of course I prefer the nighttime because I was thinking
night as in like day night, but you're saying night like a knight with a shield.
But where GrimmsKnight originated from, I was called GrimmsKnight when I was in my teens, was because of Grimm and because I was a big fan of Knight Rider.
Okay. Oh, so it is Night. Like, Night. So Knight Rider, Night of the Living Dead, kind of all these things with Night. That's cool. Yeah.
Because I'm a extreme, not horror junkie, I'm an obsessed horror freak. I love horror movies.
Likewise. Anything good? Anything good lately? I've this year I feel like has been bad for horror movies. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I would. There was one horror movie I saw not that long ago. I'm bringing up my Amazon Prime and seeing if I can find it. I thought it was kind of Halloween Ends, matter of fact.
Okay.
The final saga, right. Halloween.
I haven't seen the new trilogy yet. I know I suck that I have not seen it yet. But the first two are I love the first two. And I've seen a couple of others. I'm due for a rewatch and probably go through. So it sounds like you're a big Halloween guy. So as someone who loves the first two, like I hold them in high regard. What do you say about the rest of the franchise? Because it gets kind of convoluted and confusing. But where do I go? Which ones do you agree to be part of the franchise? Do you like them all? Is there some that are better than others, etc.?
Halloween, let me do this.
Yeah.
Halloween. I loved the first one that came out back in the day, the very first one. That was good.
Yeah. John Carpenter, the original score, one of the best horror movies, probably the OG, the original slasher film. I mean, I can't say enough good about it, right?
Freddy Krueger, he did one of my favorite franchises.
Who, Wes Craven?
Yes.
Wes Craven, yeah.
Wes Craven was good. John Carpenter was good. But Halloween was actually, if you think about it, was the first massive horror movie to come out. If you think about it.
1970.
The very first horror movie to come out came out in actually 1890, in the 1890s.
I mean, the first one I know is Nosferatu, which was I don't even know.
There was
I'm sure there's one before that, but 1922 Nosferatu is the earliest one I've known, but of course I'm sure there's one before that.
My name is Gabe Mathews. I'm a certified paranormal investigator from Greenville, South Carolina. Through my paranormal journey, I felt a calling to start a downtown paranormal walking tour. This tour's mission is to teach about the paranormal, raise awareness for the unnatural, and in the end, to find the truth. Tickets are $25. Tour schedule available at greenvilleghosttours.com.
The only Halloween I did not care for was Halloween 5.
Halloween 5, okay. I haven't seen that one. Which one's that called? Halloween 5?
Halloween, let me go back over here.
Now, is Halloween 5 a direct sequel to 4? Or
Kind of. It was
is that the one that has like a director's cut and 2 versions of it? Or is that a different one? Revenge of Michael Myers? Is that it?
yeah, no, it wasn't that one. Which one was it? I'm looking at here. The one where the kids put on the masks and then suddenly you see them turning into bugs.
So I don't know. I've seen the first 2, but I know the Season of the Witch, the 3rd one, doesn't have Michael Myers.
Thank you. That
Okay,
one.
you don't like
you don't like
you don't like 3 because it doesn't. Michael Myers only appears on the TV screen. He does not actually because originally Halloween was going to be each movie is just going to be a new story Halloween, but then everyone loved Michael Myers from 1 and 2 so much that Halloween 4 then brought back the return of Michael Myers. But Halloween 3 Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael Myers. But if you watch it on its own without thinking of Michael Myers, that it's enjoyable, but you don't like it, huh?
No, because it's its own standalone. The first ever horror movie came out, and
so you don't like it because it's its own standalone and not Michael Myers, or do you don't like it because it's just a bad movie, or both?
it was just a bad movie. I mean, because it had nothing to do. Here we go. The House of the.
But I was saying, if you watched it without the context of Michael Myers and Halloween franchise, would it be a good movie, or is it just bad regardless?
Just bad regardless.
Okay.
Because honestly, Grant, you had some name actors and there's some name people in there. But Halloween without Michael Myers, Halloween without Laurie Strode.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you just called it Season of the Witch and didn't call it Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, if it was just Season of the Witch and you watched it, would it be bad?
If they took it and honestly took it back and redid it and just completely eliminated Michael Myers from it, completely took his name from it and made it its own standalone franchise, it might actually be able to go somewhere. The Season of the Witch, you could have like Season of the Witch, you could have it where the person, I think it was a guy and a girl that survived it all at the end. And if you had it where they come back, and of course you find out that the society that they were trying to bring down reformed again, came back up, you could have a couple different sagas, maybe one, maybe 3.
So it sounds like if it was disassociated from the Halloween franchise of Michael Myers, that it actually was a good movie.
Yeah, it would have been good, but it could have been better. The first ever horror movie came out in 1896. It was known as The House of the Devil.
House of the Devil. Oh wow! So I actually saw the Ty West House of the Devil movie, and it's one of my favorite from early 2000s maybe. It was really good, but I never heard of it. I will check that out. I imagine it's hard to watch. It's probably a silent film, right?
Yes, it is.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. My father, Matthew, is a big horror movie freak. And him and I got into a debate one day. The first ever horror movie came out in 1921. It was called Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And he goes, ain't wrong, my son. Let's show you what real horror is. I'm like, what? Then he gives me a name to go by. He goes,
So real horror is just coming out before early? Like, because
yes, real horror is not blood, guts. No, real horror to me is back in the day, they didn't have all this stuff that they have nowadays. All they could do to get you a little bit scared is when they're making a set is tip it a little bit to where it looks like you're actually walking straight, but the set is at an angle, so it looks like you're leaning on a wall, but it's the tilted set and the sound. Is being able to scare somebody is easy, but if you're going to do it from a psychological point of view, you don't need blood, you don't need guts. Look
Right.
at for one of my favorite franchises is Halloween or not Halloween.
Well, it is
Elm
Halloween.
Street.
Said it was good, right?
That's one of my favorite franchises, but that ain't the first horror movie I saw.
Okay.
First horror movie I saw, I was 3.5 years old, was The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, that was a great one. I've only seen the first Exorcist. It's on my list to watch. I know Exorcist 3 is like highly regarded, so I actually gonna watch them all, even though I heard Exorcist 2 is like the worst, one of the worst movies of all time and worst sequels. But I feel like I have to watch it just to kind of do its um due diligence. And also the who's the guy who wrote the book, William Beatty or something? Because
Yeah.
he did a movie and he has like his trilogy, which is like Exorcist and then another movie and then Exorcist 3. So I've been wanting to watch that as well. I can't remember the name of it. Um but William
If you
Blatty, I
want to
think.
read up, if you want to read up on a man that was literally the godfather to special effects,
George Melies.
yes, he
Melies.
created some of these special effects that we are that we
And
take
this
for
is
granted.
okay. Did he do the House of the Devil? Um
Here, I think his name.
Sorry, you
You
cut
still
out a
there?
little bit. Yeah, sorry, you cut out for a second. Okay, wait, hold on. I'm looking at the years. I can't read it. May move it down a little bit. Yeah, down. Yeah, up. Okay, right, yeah, right there. 1938. Yeah, so he died in 1938. So yeah, that's what I was wondering. Did he do the House of the Devil special
Yes,
effects?
he created. He did all the special effects. He
Okay.
did things that we take for granted. He some of the greatest. One of my favorite franchises from after I watched The Exorcist was Halloween. Then of course was Friday the 13th. Then after that, I ended up getting into Freddy. Then after that, I got into Hellraiser. Hellraiser was good for its day, but then they started taking it and kind of just doing dumb crap
Yeah.
with it. But from there, I started delving further into
Have
horror
you
movies.
have you seen the new Hellraiser? I have not. I only saw the
Hellraiser,
first
Hellraiser.
the first two are amazing, and that's all I've seen. But I need to dive deep into Hellraiser, but I know it gets confusing and like a lot of people like certain ones, but because there's a big debate on what the third best Hellraiser film is, and I think it's all over the map what it is. But
You have the newest one.
well, they did the reboot, the remake. No, it's not a remake. I don't know what it is, but it kind of reboot last
I
year. It was
don't
on
know.
Hulu. It was on Hulu.
Yeah, Hellraiser. It was where she was a female pinhead, and I
That's
watched it, and
right.
I'm like, when I watched it, I made it all the way through the movie. I had waited months, and I'd finally got my Hulu back up and running, and I watched it, and I'm like, uh-uh. My opinion. So you
So
remember Cisco and Evil, right?
yeah, of course, yeah,
This is my opinion.
and
Two
Roper
thumbs
as
down.
well.
Two thumbs down for that film because it was bad.
Okay, and what made it bad?
The First of all, they messed up on quite. They didn't do the Cenobites correctly. They didn't. Of
Okay.
course, they didn't have. Of course, they didn't have the man that played him originally. The man that played the first ever Pinhead would have been Doug Bradley.
Yeah, Doug Bradley. That's right.
They didn't have Doug Bradley in it,
Okay.
and to me, on it, Doug Bradley did every single one of them, just like Freddy. Robert Englund did all of them except when they did the remake of Freddy Krueger.
If the new one had Doug Bradley, would it have been good?
Yeah, it would have been better.
Okay.
It would have been so much better when they did the new Freddy movie. They ended up bringing in Jackie Earl Haley. We know Jackie Earl Haley as a Rorschach from
Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
That was the Freddy that was him that played in the Freddy movie.
Okay. Yeah,
England actually chose him to play him.
I did not know that. Do you think Robert Englund specifically chose someone who would suck at being Freddy just to make himself look better?
It's funny because there was a Q&A a while back on Facebook. I cannot remember where it's at. It was live. It was at a horror con. Of course, they had Robert Englund on stage. They had Jackie Earl Haley there. They had some of the people that are still around from the Freddy movies. and they were answering questions. And I came across and I asked him, I said, "Did you choose?" I had to type my. I was here in Florida, of course, but this was over in. I think it was at some horror con, and I typed in my question. I said, "So, did you personally choose Jackie Earl Haley due to his acting experience and his acting career, due to how he puts his character in, puts himself into the character, immerses himself the way you did, or did you just choose him because you just want to choose somebody and just say, hey, screw it?" He came back. Robert England actually, because they had little tablets that they could all watch on. He picked up the tablet, looked at it, and goes, he literally verbally answered this. He goes, "I was under Joseph Grimm 4-1. He goes, "Joseph Grimm 4-1. He goes, "I chose Jackie Earl Haley due to the way he immerses himself in a character, due to the way that he does. That if you look in the film, he goes, even Offset, he goes, of course, I was there for the filming of Freddy Krueger when they had him in it. He goes, even Offset, all he did is he peeled up the mask a little bit so he could eat." He goes, then it got to a point where he didn't have to take off the mask. He goes, he would sit there and go out in public in the mask during the filming of the movie. He would eat with the mask on. He became one with Freddy the way I did. He goes, he immersed himself in the character. So I chose him because Jackie Earl Haley was amazing, even as Rorschach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Robert Englund is a stand-up guy. So imagine you picked him. It's too bad that movie sucked hard. What would you do with the Freddy Krueger franchise from here? Is it over? Do you
honestly? Robert Englund said, "Look, his back is messed up, his hand is messed up. He said his body's messed up, but he said he's not going to be Freddy no more." Honestly, remember Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah,
when you literally see Jason Voorhees walking up out of the lake, and you see him holding Freddy's head, and you watch Freddy just go,
wink,
wink.
Yeah.
No, it's not done. You can take it further. Hell, you can take Jason further. Jason, hell, you could, in my opinion, bring Kane Hodder back in. Kane Hodder was amazing. Freddy Krueger was an amazing Jason Voorhees. I went to
who did it in Freddy vs. Jason? Wasn't it Kane Hodder or was it not?
Freddy
thought it was Kane Hodder. No, I don't know either. Let's see. Ken Kurtzinger. So it wasn't Kane Hodder. Was Ken Kurtzinger not good as Jason then? Because he was in a couple of them, I think. He was in. Let's see. Maybe
now,
he was.
You want to bring in an actor that could do a damn good Jason? Hang on here.
I'm sure there's a whole bunch of actors that could be Jason, though, right? Because it doesn't really. It's not like Freddy where he talks. Because you don't have to talk if you're Jason.
Yeah, I'm bringing in one of my favorite
actors. Ken Kurtzinger was in Watchmen too. He was a stuntman.
Okay.
So they hired a stuntman to be Jason. He was in Cabin in the Woods also. That's a good one. Stunts, though. He's just all stunts. So it's interesting. They got a stunt guy to be Jason, probably because, again, he doesn't have to talk. So probably not a big thing. But yeah, I'm curious where they'll go with these franchises. I mean, Halloween's over, right? Halloween ends. It's ended.
Jason, or they said that you get to literally watch him be thrown in that car compactor and he's gone. He's dead.
Okay.
So you find that franchise. Honestly, with that franchise, there's not much further they could go with it. That ended it perfectly.
Yeah.
That was a perfect saga to an ending. You get to see all when Michael came back. Michael, as to quote, there is a quote from the movie that I love from Halloween, from the movie. Halloween Ends.
Well, so yeah, Halloween franchise done. No more. Jason, we say can continue, but what about Freddy Krueger? Is it done, or do we keep going?
No.
Okay, but no Robert Englund. So who plays Freddy?
It's a good question.
Yeah. So we think we need to recast Freddy. Who would you pick if you could think of it as someone you'd like to see play Freddy?
A quote from here. I'm trying to find it. Who would I quote? Let's see if I can find it. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, this is the movie Halloween Ends.
Yeah, there's a quote that comes within the movie.
Okay.
That you get to hear Jamie Lee Curtis talking as Laurie Strode.
All right.
I'll bring it up on the screen because there's a quote from the movie that Michael Myers was an interesting character because he took Freddy was the killer of our dreams. Michael Myers now brought our nightmares to life. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to watch these. So if I was to watch the Halloween series now, I'm very familiar with 1 and 2. Where do I go from there? Do I skip 3? Do I watch 4, 5, 6? Or do I just jump to the new ones? Halloween, because they call it Halloween. Halloween kills, Halloween ends, right?
Yeah. Now go back to, because when Rob Zombie did Halloween,
right,
he did an amazing job with it. There were scenes in there that his wife actually helped him create, that Shelley helped him create. Like, the scene where you see the kid running in the backyard, and then suddenly he's got the Michael Myers suit on, of course.
Yeah.
And Michael Myers, he looks at him and goes, "Something wrong with you, buddy?" And he pushes him and he goes, throws him to the ground, just starts stomping a mud hole through his head. Shelley was upset on the set because there was one of the actors that wasn't getting into it the way she wanted them to. So what she did is she grabbed a dummy, put a Michael Myers mask, put a fake head on it, and just started stomping the hell out of it with fake blood, and it went all over her white shirt. And Rob Zombie turns around and goes, "You okay, baby?" She goes, "Yeah, honey. I'm mad right now." And she tells him why, but yet her face is covered in blood as they're kissing. And he goes, "Now I know why I love you." She goes, "I want that in the movie." She goes, "I really do, because I want my frustration channeled into that scene." She was directly involved in it. Now, to answer your question, if they could choose somebody new to play Freddy, God, there's a lot of great actors out there. I wouldn't mind. This would be going a far stretch, but there was a time that William Dafoe, that played the Green Goblin, there was a time that he actually put the mask on, and they had different people coming in to literally do a thing in front of Robert Englund with masks on, of course, for when they were doing the movie. William Dafoe happened to come in. Him and Robert Englund have been friends for years. And he walked up to him, "How are you, Robert?" He goes, "Not bad." He goes, "You mind if I try?" He goes, "Sure." So he put the mask on, and he put the claw on, put the costume on, and actually looked at this, because he was supposed to read from a script. All the Freddy characters, they were holding a script and doing this, just reading from it. And he tosses the script aside and immersed. He goes, and he did his own chilling version of the voice. I can mimic where the voice that he did almost reminded me. You remember Lord of the Rings, Smeagol, right?
Yeah, of course.
He got to do my. No, it's funny.
Oh, damn, that's good.
It would rather be that young male. And he just immersed himself so deep in the voice. Robert's like,
maybe
his head went back. He goes, "If I ever need somebody for Freddy, I'm coming to you." Because he literally, Robert told him, he goes, "Look," he pulls him off the side. He goes, "I've not been," he goes, "I was starting to scare myself how much I was getting into Freddy." He goes, "But nothing scares me much anymore. Nothing irks me." He goes, "You irked me you irked me and caused me to be shocked on the edge of my seat with you playing me from another point of view." He goes, "I loved it. If I choose anybody, I choose you." Dafoe, William Dafoe, or hell, how
about Andy Serkis, who did Gollum and Smeagol? That'd be a good one.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, because he wears all the stop motion stuff. So Andy Serkis might be a good one. Yeah, but I'm on board with you. I think Willem Dafoe would be good. But yeah, Andy Serkis might be a good Freddy Krueger. But if you do a new Freddy Krueger, do you try to channel Robert Englund, or do you do it your own way?
Do it your own way.
You do it your own way. Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Let's kind of go from horror to, okay. I would love to see them bring back like in the comic books with Batman, they've got the horrific side of Batman. They show the horror side. I would love to see them take and create like take and just create a style of Batman, but more horrific, but make not Batman, but take and create something like more darker than anything that they've done out there.
Like really gory, just have Batman just beat people to a bloody pulp and just have their blood splattered everywhere.
Beating people to, not so much Batman. Granted, I love Batman. I love a lot of movies. One of my favorite franchises out there is Saw.
Right, yeah. I love Saw. In fact, I didn't see Spiral, and I didn't see the one before that either. I stopped at Saw 3D because it got kind of bad. But I should watch it.
Spiral? I didn't like Spiral.
Okay, what about, didn't they do one called what's the one before that? It wasn't just Saw, was it? Jigsaw, that's the one. Was that good?
Jigsaw, because remember within the movies themselves, he talked about a game that came place before all of the other games. There was a mistake that he
Is it a prequel?
Jigsaw is a prequel.
Oh,
the
dang,
top
okay.
His first ever follower about a mistake that he'd made with one of the people that he put in a game that he pulled out of the game and made his own followers. So it's a prequel, but it also goes into a modern version. One of his followers actually follows Jigsaw to a T.
So we could get sequels to Jigsaw then.
Yeah, Jigsaw was amazing. The John Kramer character was amazing. They did a good job with Tobin Belt. I'll give it 10 stars all the way across on all of the Saw movies. Now,
every single one is a 10 out of 10.
Yes. Now, when it comes to
Spiral,
I didn't like it. I would give it 90. I'd give it like 3, 4. That's it.
Oh man. So 10 out of 10 across the board for the first 8 Saws. Was there 8 of them? And then Spiral gets a 3 out of 10.
Now, one of my favorite franchises is Scream because it was based off
Scream's good. I actually just rewatched all the Screams and they're all good.
It was based off actual reality.
Scream?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it was. It was based off an actual thing.
I did. What's the name of the actual case? I want to look that up later.
Let's see.
But obviously, there's 6 movies now, so that kind of goes its own way. But the original one might have been. I'll check that out. What about Terrorizer? Do you like the new the clown Terrorizer?
I watched it, but really get into Terrorizer.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's just a lot of blood and gore.
Yeah, that's all it really is. It just Scream documentary details the real killer who inspired the original movie Scream. Okay, it's called Scream, true story. I'm looking for it. Scream. The man that did the real killer behind Scream was called Danny Harold Rowling. Donald Harold Rowling. This would be him. This would be the real person.
Okay. Donald Harold Rowling. I'll look that up. I did not know this. I've learned some things I got to research later. Donald Harold Rowling.
Now, when it comes to anything true crime or anything that movies are based off of, I go deep into it because behind my name, I hold a master's degree in criminal psychology.
Oh, cool.
And I was going to Quantico at one point to work with the BAU2, which is Behavior Analysis Unit 2, focuses on serial killers and things of that nature. And what happened was Mom got sick, my mental illness took over that I deal with. And that was a small part of it, but there was, when you're getting ready to finish out the course, at the tail end of the course, to have you sit in the interrogation room with somebody, you're standing off the side, they have one of their own acting like he's a perpetrator. They have 2 people playing good cop and bad cop. And I'm standing off the side, I'm watching these 2 and interrogate the heck out of this guy, and one of them's playing good cop, bad cop. And I finally come forward and I look at the guy playing bad cop. I said, why don't you leave? Let me take this over. So I sit down. It was part of the training. Of course, I sit down and I said, what the case scenario was that this guy had murdered 2 women and he'd killed them like 20 years prior, and the family wanted closure. It was a fake case, though. It was just fake.
It was a fake
And
case? Oh,
yeah,
this is in
well,
the
it was.
class. In the class.
Yeah, it was in the class. So,
Okay.
and it was an FBI agent portraying the role of a perpetrator. So I said, look, I'm sorry for my colleagues. He goes, you would be, and I'm FBI trainee Joseph Tanberg. I'm here just to understand you a little bit more. He goes, I stepped outside the room. I said, can we get this guy something to eat, a drink or something? And they brought it in. Of course, I was the guy that was just trying to be the human version of them. Treat them with human. Like if you're torturing somebody, you ain't going to get crap out of them. You're going to get more out of them by showing them humanity, showing them a nice side. So I sat there and did that. And I said, look, and he, of course, part of his script was to say that his wife had died, his son had died. And I put my hand on his hand to say, look, I'm sorry for your loss. And as soon as I touched this guy's hand, I managed to look into his mind and see that he was an actual child molester. Even though he was working with the FBI, he was using the FBI to cover up his crimes. I pulled my hand away instantly, and I stepped out of the room real quick and walked up to my guy that was training me and said, look, if I give you a few names, can you look into him? He goes, what happened? I go, just trust me, please. So he did, and he found out that the names were actual kids that had went to the local cops and said they'd been molested, but it didn't go very far. He said, how'd you come by this information? I didn't bother telling my professor or anybody in the course that I have the gift of psychometry where I can touch things or people. I didn't bother. And I said, this is how I came by it. So they looked into it and actually had determined this guy was a child molester. So that's looking at this guy being able to do that, to use his actual job to cover up that he'd molested over 100 kids over 10 years. I didn't want to be part of a system like that, so I completely walked away. I gave up an internship because I didn't want to do it. I'm not going to have my name tied to something like that, so that's why I dig into the true crimes I do. I also dig, my team and we dig into missing persons. We're involved in a missing persons case right now. The woman, her boyfriend was charged with murder, but they never found the body. So we're involved with one of the PIs that has been involved in it a while, and we're helping him out figure things out that he may not be able to figure out by regular means. I've even talked to the police on it, and the police, a couple of the cops scoff at the fact that I'm a spirit medium. I've even had a couple of them, when I've talked to them on the phone, almost feel like they were interrogating me, how I was getting the information. One of them sarcastically goes, so are you getting the information from so-and-so, from her spirit or something? I went, no, I'm just getting it from feeling. No, I'm actually getting it from her spirit. I said on the phone, I said, look, you know how you're supposed to charge the boy for the crime? He goes, yeah. And I go, he sent you guys' asses up to Alabama to do some digging up there. The body's not there. He goes, how do you know that? I said, because her body never left the town that you're in. He quickly goes, I got a meeting I got to go to. And he rushed off the phone real quick. But the PI that we're involved with, there's online, it mentions that this woman was last seen by this silver gray car. That's all it mentions. But yet this PI we're involved in goes into further detail about the car. He gives things that, why wouldn't the cops have this? When you're a killer or a murderer, you're going to directly involve yourself in the case so you can know what's going on. So you're going to insert yourself somewhere or another as a helpful participant when you're the one that actually did it. So that's the feeling I've had on this guy for a while, that he had direct involvement in her disappearance. But yet he's told us, my wife and I, that there's other women that have went missing in the area at the same time that supposedly this black guy was up there. I'm not saying he didn't do it, but just this guy knowing, granted, you can go do research. If you're part of a search and rescue team, you're going to know things, but it's just this guy knows way too many details that even a PI should know. It's kind of, I've been ghosting his calls lately, not answering them, not responding to him, because it's just, there's a feeling I have that this guy knows way more than he's telling the cops. He knows way more about this woman's disappearance He knows way more than that what's going on than he should.
Yeah, well, that's incredible. Definitely keep up that work. And I mean, any way that you can solve a cold case or, a murderer, pedophile, regardless of how you get the information, I mean, you're doing great work. The true searchers, we mostly deal paranormal, but we do dabble in true crime from time to time. We actually were the first paranormal investigation team to investigate the Murdaugh murders here in South Carolina. And we found some evidence and handed it over to the authorities. And we think that we had some, contribution that led to him getting found out. But I don't know. I watched the documentaries and didn't see us mentioned, which was kind of disappointing. But we did a spirit box session, and Alex Murdaugh came out, and we found a shoe print that we think might have been Alex's, and he was the one who did the murders. So, but yeah, I definitely into true crime. So that's awesome, and I wish I
I'm
had
looking
those.
at the Murdoch boulders now. I've actually heard of them.
Yeah, it's a big national news down here, South Carolina. And they got like HBO documentary and a Netflix documentary, and there's a good podcast I listen to. I think it's called The Murdaugh Murders with McEnany. Let's see, Murdaugh Murders. It's not popping up, but yeah, it's Kayla McEnany, I think. Murdaugh Murders, good podcast, and she goes through all of it. Oh, another thing I meant to bring up. Did you see that Carmela, they're coming out with a new monster cereal? Carmela Creeper is a new monster cereal, the first character in 35 years. It's a caramel apple cereal. Did you hear about this? I'm really excited.
I thought it was interesting because I haven't seen any animated characters on cereal in God knows how long.
Yeah, well, then now it's just a Halloween time cereal, so I'm really excited to try out the newest one, and this is the first one since Fruity Yummy Mummy, which I've actually never got to try. So I was hoping, and this is like the 35th year of Fruity Yummy Mummy, so you think they'd released, Fruity Yummy Mummy on its 35th anniversary, but I'm still excited about getting a new Carmela Creeper monster cereal, and yeah, apparently she's like a monster DJ. So I was hoping to get some monster music out of it, because I know that they, get a flexi disc or something and be cool on the cereal, get some new tunes. I know because they kind of did like the Monster Mash, and now they're doing a Monster Mash like Redux, and it's got her like DJ and I don't know, that'd be cool. I know you talked about being into music, and I'm actually writing some songs, so I'm excited to have. I also was thinking of Monster Mash and whatnot, so I have a song that I'm hoping to come out with, the Oogie Boogie Woogie, and it's kind of a Monster Mash type song. So I don't know. I like horror paranormal media, and there's not enough horror paranormal music out there, so I figured I got to create my own. So I started dabbling and working with producers and whatnot. So hopefully it'll be good. But I'm excited to release some of this. But yeah, Oogie Boogie Woogie Dance was a song that I started writing. But yeah, I just was thinking of the Monster Mash in the cereal, and so yeah, Carmela Creeper. We're excited to try that out.
I wouldn't mind hearing some of your stuff if you ever decide to release it.
Definitely, yeah, that's the intention. I want to do a whole album. So I have a bunch of songs I write, and so I'm in the process of getting it ready to release. This October I want to release the Oogie Boogie Woogie, which is kind of a Monster Mash inspired dance that's monster themed. So it's a fun dance, for all ages. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, you had mentioned you're into music.
Yeah, I'm massively into music.
Yeah, I was just listening to the latest King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard album. I don't know if you've heard it.
No, I have not at all.
Yeah, it's Petrogonic Apocalypse, or Eternal Night and Annihilation of Planet Earth and the Beginning of Merciless Damnation. But it's really awesome, and it's kind of like a concept record. So like they're the first songs like they summon like this motor spirit, and so it's kind of like taking in like all the fuel and like a consumption, but they conjure this spirit, and then there's like the clouds kind of come in, and there's a supercell, and then it all converges, and then there's all these witches, and they do witchcraft, and they actually summon this like Gila monster. And so then the Gila monster comes up and then it kills all the witches. And then like kind of I think it turns into a dragon. I'm not quite sure. And then it kind of just starts destroying all the earth. And then like the flamethrowers, but then at the end it kind of goes back to the motor spirit. So it almost like loops around. But it was kind of cool. I like the idea of witches that like summon a monster that ends up killing them and then causes all the destruction. So yeah, it was kind of interesting. But Witchcraft is a good song because they're like summoning, or the witches are summoning the Gila monster, and then the Gila monster, it's like, King Gila, and he kind of comes and conquers all. I really liked it. It's kind of metal. I don't know if you're into metal.
Oh, I'm a metal freak.
Okay, cool.
Have been for years. Is there a way that we can cut this short? Because looking at the time, I have to get dinner ready shortly here.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, we've been going for an hour and a half. I think we've probably covered a lot of stuff. But if you want to do a closing or anything,
yeah, definitely, it's been an honor being on your show and having you on mine as well.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can send me?
Yes, I can do
a recorded version of mine and yours.
Yes, I will send it in some form, Google Drive or something. I'll send you a link.
My wife, the reason she wasn't part of it is because I woke her up out of her tent sleep. She was sleeping peacefully, and I woke her up, and she's been staying behind the scenes. Usually, she's directly involved in the show. She's just
no problem. Well, hey, I'd love to come back. I just thank you for doing it today. I know my schedule is kind of booked up, but like, yeah, hey, a couple months from now or something, it'd be cool to chat again. Do some horror movies, talk some music, talk some paranormal, talk some witchcraft, talk some medium psychic abilities, anything that it comes down to. And also the Christian Wicca, all this research you've done, demonology. You seem to have a full plate, and yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And yeah,
it definitely has been a pleasure. Definitely talking to you.
Cool.
No, finding out there's others out there that actually care as much as my team does about the paranormal and going out and into the night and searching for answers.
Exactly. And I'm after the truth, whatever it is. So, I always say, truth is paranormal, be a searcher. So that's usually how I end it. So
how I usually end on my show is I say the truth. I go to quote one of my favorite shows, X-Files, Fox Mulder, the truth is out there, keep searching.
Yeah, there you go. So it's very similar. And actually Fox Mulder is probably one of the best characters in all of media. And so he's been a huge inspiration to me as well. Probably wouldn't be here without Fox Mulder. So yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, you have a good night. Yep. And take care.
Yep, you too.
Right. Truth is paranormal. Be a searcher.
Yep. Truth is out there. Keep looking.